Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is part 37 of Tafseer Al Saadi. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم القصاص في القتلى الحر بالحر والعبد بالعبد والأنثى بالأنثى فمن عفي له من أخيه شيء فاتباع بالمعروف وأداء إليه بإحسان ذلك تخفيف من ربكم ورحمة فمن اعتدى بعد ذلك فله عذاب أليم. O you who believe, legal retribution is prescribed for you in cases of murder. The free for the free, the slave for the slave. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, the woman for the woman. But if any remission is made by the victim's next of kin, then blood money should be claimed in a reasonable manner and paid with goodwill. This is a concession and a mercy from your Lord. Whoever transgresses after that will have a painful punishment. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. In this legal retribution, there is saving of life. There is saving of life for you, O people of understanding, so that you may become pious. Here Allah Azza wa Jal reminds His believing slaves of His favor to them in prescribing legal retribution. In prescribing legal retribution in cases of murder, which means equity, the murderer is to be killed in the same manner as that in which he killed his victim, so as to establish justice and fairness amongst people. This verse is addressed to the believers in general, which indicates that it is obligatory upon all of them, even the killer's next of kin, and even the killer himself, to help the victim's next of kin if he demands legal retribution. They should hand over the killer, and it is not permissible for them to try to prevent this punishment or to prevent the victim's next of kin from exacting legal retribution, as was customary during the Jahiliyyah and is still the case in similar environments where protection is given to the offender. Then this matter is explained further. The free for the free. This includes a male for a male. The woman for the woman. This also includes a female for a female. This also includes a female for a male or a male for a female. Because the Sunnah indicates that a male may be killed for a female. The slave for the slave, whether male or female, and whether they are equal in value or not. The verse indicates that the basic principle is that legal retribution for killing is a must, and that the blood money, diya, is an alternative to it. Hence, Allah says, but if any remission is made by the victim's next of kin, that is, if the victim's next of kin lets the killer off and does not demand that he be killed and decides to accept the blood money instead, or if some of the next of kin let him off, then legal retribution is waived and the blood money becomes obligatory. The choice regarding the blood money is given to the next of kin. If he decides to let the killer off, it is obligatory for the victim's next of kin to claim the blood money in a reasonable manner, without making things difficult for him or demanding more than he can bear. Rather, he should be gentle in asking and not put undue pressure on him. And paid with goodwill. That is, the killer should pay it without delay or shortfall, and without mistreating the victim's next of kin, in word or deed. Should the response to the next of kin's kindness in letting him off be anything but paying off with goodwill, This is applicable in all cases where there are similar issues between people. The one who is owed money must make his claim in a reasonable manner, and the one who owes it must pay it with goodwill. The words, "but if any remission is made by the victim's next of kin," are aimed at softening people's heart, are aimed at softening people's hearts and encouraging them to let the killer off and accept the blood money instead. Even better than that is to let him off altogether by not demanding the blood money either. The word next of kin, literally brother, indicates that the killer does not become a disbeliever by his action, because what is meant by brotherhood here is brotherhood in faith. The killer is not excluded from that by his action. So it is more apt to say that all sins apart from disbelief do not make the one who does them a disbeliever. Rather, his faith decreases as a result of that. If the victim's next of kin or some of them pardon the killer, then the latter's blood is protected. That is, he is not to be killed. He is protected by Sharia from them and from others. Hence, Allah says, whoever transgresses after that, i.e., after the killer has been pardoned, will have a painful punishment, that is, in the hereafter. The issue of whether he is to be killed or not is based on the above, because he has killed someone who is equal to him, so he should be executed for that. According to those who interpret the painful punishment as referring to execution, in the case of one who kills a killer who has been pardoned as discussed above, this verse specifically indicates that he is to be killed and that it is not permissible to let him off. This is the view of some scholars, but the first view is the correct one, because his offense is no worse than that of anyone else. Because his offense is no worse than that of anyone else. Then Allah Azza wa Jal explains the great wisdom behind prescribing legal retribution. Allah says, in this legal retribution there is saving of life. That is, lives are protected and criminals will be deterred thereby. Because anyone who realizes that he will be killed if he kills another is very unlikely to kill. If the killer is seen executed, others will be deterred thereby. But if the punishment of the killer were something other than execution, there would be no deterrent to evil, such as that which results from execution. The same may be said concerning all the had punishment, the prescribed punishments prescribed in Sharia. They teach a lesson and provide a deterrent, which is indicative of the wisdom of the Most Wise, the All-Forgiving. Because the wisdom behind this ruling is not properly understood except by people of reason and understanding, they alone are addressed here. This indicates that Allah Azza wa Jal loves those of His slaves who use their minds and ponder the wisdom in His rulings and the purposes they serve, which is indicative of the perfection of His wisdom, His praise, His justice, and His all-encompassing mercy. The one who meets this description is deserving of praise, because he is one of the people of understanding to whom this is addressed. That is sufficient honor for the people who understand. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you may become pious. The one who knows his Lord and is aware of what there is in his religion and his laws of great wisdom and clear signs is obliged thereby to submit to the command of Allah and be concerned about disobeying Him, so that he refrains from doing so. Thus, he will deserve to be one of the pious. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.